a silent tremor runs through the Bloodmoon Valley, where the scorched earth still whispers of the clash between the Asura disciples and the encroaching Void Sect. Tianming's chest bears the weight of betrayal, and shadows of fallen comrades stretch across the jagged cliffs. As the night deepens, an uneasy calm blankets the battlefield, yet every breath feels like the herald of a storm. Recap. Martial God Asura, Chapter 169, Chapter 170 begins here, tracing the thin line between vengeance and survival as alliances fracture and hidden powers awaken in the dark. The question lingers: who will emerge from this crucible unbroken, and whose fate has already been written in blood? The air trembled with an almost tangible dread as the crowd gazed toward the shadowed arena. "Look, it's Wuju's fatal strike," a voice cried, trembling with awe. Whispers turned into gasps, and gasps into muttered fears. This is the end. Nothing can save him. Chu Feng cannot survive this. All eyes fixed on the dusky stage, where the tension hung thick like a suffocating fog. The aura of death seemed to cling to every stone, every breath of wind. Those who knew martial ways instantly recognized the danger. Wuju's fatal strike was no ordinary technique, not a teaching of the Azure Dragon School, nor a family secret. It belonged solely to him. Rumors had circled like restless spirits. Some claimed he unearthed it from ancient ruins. Others said he inherited it from a lost master. Whispers even suggested the legendary Zhongli Yihu took him as a disciple just to claim this deadly skill. The fatal strike's reputation alone could chill the blood. Ranked as a level 5 martial art, it carried the force of a level 6 strike, capable of crushing the strongest defenses with a single sweep. When unleashed, it drew a cold crescent through the dimming sky, and wherever that gleam passed, death was certain. Wiser martial men always avoided meeting Wuju when he was ready to unleash this technique. Even those stronger than him could not hope to survive its blade. At that instant, as Wuju summoned his fatal strike, every heart in the crowd leapt into terror. Su Mei and Su Ru clenched their fists so tightly their knuckles whitened, cold sweat purling on their brows. All believed Chu Feng's fate sealed. Pucci. A streak of silver flashed through the gloom, curving like a half-moon, and a splash of crimson painted the air. In the blink of an eye, the stage returned to its former quiet, as if nothing had happened. "Heavens," murmured the onlookers, their words frozen in disbelief. Yet what met their eyes was beyond imagination. Chu Feng stood unscathed, serene, unperturbed. No blood marred his skin, no dust sullied his robes. He radiated calm, tranquility, and unshakable ease. Meanwhile, Wuju knelt on the ground, knees soaked with crimson, the blood flowing down in intertwined streams, forming a macabre yet striking pattern. Shock struck every witness. All the horrific visions they had conjured for Chu Feng's demise evaporated, replaced by an impossible reality. Wuju, 5th level of the Origin Realm, 9th on the Azure Dragon leaderboard, wielder of the feared fatal strike, had been utterly defeated. "You lost." The words cut through the silence like a sword. As Chu Feng's golden blade pressed against Wuju's shoulder and neck, the crowd trembled at the surging aura of death in Chu Feng's gaze. A faint, cold smile played at the corner of his lips, promising merciless intent. Yet even in this dire moment, none could forget Wuju's lineage, his family of swords, his elder brother Gong Luyun, and his master Zhongli Yihu. To strike him down was to court death itself. Chu Feng moved with deliberate slowness, and all knew the outcome. Wuju was doomed, no matter how the final strike fell. "Stop!" The cry thundered across the arena, vibrating through every soul like a bell of doom. A figure emerged at the edge of the life and death stage. An old man in a black robe, a longsword sheathed behind his back, eyes sharp and piercing like a predatory hawk. "Zhongli Yihu!" gasped those with keen sight. The presence of the Azure Dragon School's renowned guest elder was unmistakable. Relief flooded Wuju's allies. With Zhongli Yihu here, perhaps Chu Feng would restrain himself. For Zhongli Yihu's mastery of the profound realm ranked him among the school's elite, and his eccentric pride was legendary. No one could imagine Chu Feng defying him. At least, not without peril. Chu Feng's sword halted mid-motion. His golden eyes flickered toward Zhongli Yihu with icy indifference. "Friend, Wuju is my disciple. Show some respect and spare his life," Zhongli Yihu's calm voice carried across the arena. There was no pleading, only command, an unyielding assertion of authority. "Humph." Chu Feng's snort cut through the tension. Without hesitation, he waved his arm, and a golden light swept across the air. The head of Wuju fell to the ground. Gasps erupted like a violent storm. Chu Feng had not only ignored Zhongli Yihu's request, but he had ended Wuju's life in cold defiance, right before the elder's eyes. The audacity was staggering, a madness no one could reconcile. Then Chu Feng's voice rang out, filled with disdain and unshakable conviction. "You tell me to spare him, so I spare him? Who do you think you are?" In that instant, all who watched understood the terrifying truth. This was no mere martial artist. This was a madman of the blade, a force untethered by convention or fear, a whirlwind that none, not even the great Zhongli Yihu, could easily command. In the heart of the Azure Dragon School, a tension thick enough to slice through steel hung over the life and death stage. The air itself seemed to shiver as a lone voice rang out, sharp and unyielding. "You think I should spare him? And so I should?" Chu Feng's words tore through the atmosphere, laced with origin power that made even the distant spectators tremble. It was a declaration, a challenge, a storm condensed into a single sentence. He made it known. He feared no one, not even the ancient elders who wielded power like mountains. A ripple of shock swept through the onlookers. Even those who had no stake in the battle could not help but feel their blood chill. Eyes shifted involuntarily toward Zhongli Yihu, the man now at the epicenter of the storm. His face was drained of all color, his eyes wide and wild, bulging as if they might escape their sockets. The sound of teeth grinding echoed in the tense silence, a chilling prelude to the violence that hung in the air. Zhongli Yihu's wrath was a palpable force. Every soul present knew it. This elder's fury could rend flesh from bone and leave nothing behind but echoes of ruin. With a roar that shook the heavens, he sprang into the air, landing on the life and death stage like a descending mountain. The impact sent Chu Feng swaying dangerously, his boots barely holding the ground beneath him. "Someone, come! I will sign the life and death certificate with this boy." Zhongli Yihu's bellow thundered across the arena, a roar meant to intimidate the very marrow in one's bones. Anticipation prickled at every observer. Even those familiar with life and death duels felt the raw force of the elder's intent. Yet, before the storm could fully break, another figure leapt gracefully onto the stage. Su Ru, the Azure Dragon School's renowned beauty, her presence like a shard of moonlight cutting through the tension. "Elder Zhongli," she said, voice calm yet commanding, "there is no need for an elder to stoop to confront the young." Zhongli Yihu's response was swift and merciless. A violent gale surged from his hand, a whirlwind that threatened to shred Su Ru's silk robes into ribbons. Chu Feng's fists clenched, his heart hammering. Su Ru's safety mattered to him, and he would not watch her be harmed. But before he could act, an elder appeared, stepping into the maelstrom. The wind collapsed as if it had never existed, leaving Su Ru unscathed. Elder Li, frail and bent, with hair thinning like mist and a body shaped by time, now stood as an immovable shield. His cultivation was a hidden abyss, impossible to measure, yet his mere presence nullified Zhongli Yihu's assault. Su Ru exhaled, settling beside Chu Feng, trusting in the legend that was Elder Li. Even without full understanding, she sensed the profound depth of his power, power that rivaled, perhaps even surpassed, Zhongli Yihu himself. Elder Li's body trembled as he coughed violently, a reminder of his mortal fragility, yet when he spoke, his voice cut through the tension like a tempered blade. "Elder Zhongli, as one of the older generation, there is no need to interfere in the affairs of the young." Zhongli Yihu's eyes burned with fury. "Elder Li, you saw it yourself. This Chu Feng murdered my disciple, Wuju, decapitating him with cruel intent. As his master, I seek vengeance. Today, I shall end this on the life and death stage. If anyone forbids it, I shall resign from the Azure Dragon School, yet this boy's life is mine to claim." Even the distant observers, hearts pounding, sensed the inevitability in Zhongli Yihu's words. None doubted. Chu Feng's survival seemed impossible. "Elder Li," Zhongli Yihu demanded, voice sharp as steel, "tell me, can Chu Feng and I decide life and death here, on this stage?" Elder Li's expression was troubled. The rules permitted no restriction. The life and death stage was a realm where grudges could be settled, and life could be claimed with consent or force. He glanced at Su Ru. Sending her a subtle signal, she leaned close to Chu Feng, whispering with quiet urgency, "Chu Feng, Zhongli Yihu seeks battle. Refuse, and no one will save you." Chu Feng only smiled, unwavering. Don't worry, I'm no fool. Yet, Zhongli Yihu's roar cut through the air, and an invisible hurricane of profound power surged forth. He was a master of the fourth level of the profound realm, and his aura filled every corner of the stage with lethal intent. Chu Feng and Su Ro felt the crushing weight of death itself, yet Elderly's presence anchored them, holding back the storm as if he were a living fortress. Zhongli Yihu's fury only intensified. Move, Elder Li, or be destroyed as well. His power rippled outward, a force meant to crush everything in its path. Elder Li remained steadfast, though a frown betrayed the difficulty of his position. Chu Feng felt a surge of gratitude, realizing that behind this frail body lay an unbreakable will. Those wishing for Chu Feng's death, witnessing the raw might of Zhongli Yihu and the immovable Elder Li, believed the youth's fate sealed. Yet, just as despair threatened to drown the stage, another voice thundered, cutting through the tension like lightning, splitting a cliff. Since you dare to boast, old man Zhongli, let us play. In an instant, a force erupted, surpassing even Zhongli Yihu's. The air itself bent and groaned under its weight, and for the first time, Zhongli Yihu's aura faltered, dwarfed by an even greater, unstoppable presence. The stage was no longer just a battleground. It had become the cradle of legends, where life and death would dance in the hands of those who dared to wield true power.